What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So, back again for another 2020 NFL mock draft. We're doing 3 rounds, and I'm including the compensatory picks. At least, well, 3 rounds, so you're only getting 8 compensatory picks. But that's 104 picks we're doing. I'm not going to have a voice by the end of this. So go ahead, become a bro, and subscribe, and leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. With this mock draft, I'm doing based on what I think the teams are going to do. So this won't really be going by my rankings, but I get like halfway. I get it to like mid-second round. I'm like, okay, some of these guys shouldn't be falling this far, so I kind of jump in. I use good judgment for the most part. Let me know in the comment section below what you think and what would you do differently, because best believe you're probably going to want to do things differently. But I got other content on the way. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of content. I'll be grinding out here. And I'll have defensive interior out tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have one of the, or maybe I might have 1 or 2 team off seasons out tomorrow. Basically go over free agency and a draft for a certain franchise. And then I'm going to have my new quarterback and new running back rankings out as well. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the nitty gritty. We got a lot to go over. We're going to start with the first pick. Joe Burrow, of course. He's going to the Bengals. Unless I think that's a consensus. We all think Joe Burrow is going to be selected by the Bengals. There may be a few people out there that think it should be Chase Young. They probably also think Andy Dalton's a top 10 quarterback. But I think for the most part, we could agree it's going to be Joe Burrow. And then at number 2, Chase Young. That is really, again, I mean, there's really no discussion to be had here. Even with Del Rio changing to a 4-3 defense, you have a scary duo of Sweat and Kerrigan. Even if they decide to keep him or get rid of him, you add Young to that, you got a terrifying pass rush. That'll help this secondary that is rebuilding. And then I got Jeffrey, Okudah, Okudah. Oh, why do I always mess up his last name. Okudah out of Ohio State. This was tough. I kind of went between. It was a difficult decision. I was in between him and Isaiah Simmons in the end. I went with Okudah. I just really like him in Patricia's offense, his defense, his very man-heavy scheme, and I could see them eventually moving on from Darius Slay, if not this season, probably next season. And honestly, if you think Isaiah Simmons should be the pick here, I'm not going to argue that. That's a great pick as well. And then the Giants, I got him getting Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. Again, this was hard to pass on Isaiah Simmons again, but I mean, with Daniel Jones' fumbles as abundant as his touchdowns, I think you have to go tackle some. You're going to see a lot of other mocks go Willis here, and I've seen some articles say that they might be they're going to try to move Nate Solder to guard, which makes no sense when they have Zeitler and Nandez. So I think they're going to stick with him at left. You come in, you get Wills, excuse me. You put him on the right. You instantly have great protection. Honestly, if you think this pick should be Tristan Wirfs, Josh Jones, or Andrew Thomas, I won't argue that. These 4 guys, they're kind of interchangeable to me. Honestly, they're all great. They're all good. It's really whoever you prefer. And then with the 5th pick, got the Miami Dolphins picking Tua Tagovailoa. I know a lot of people. I know some of my subscribers, they're not gonna like that. Don't worry, I don't like it that much either. I'm a tank for Trevor guy, but you don't know how next year will unfold. Stephen Ross, he said a month ago he really wants a quarterback. Assuming they don't chase one in free agency, the pick will either be Tua or Herbert. I don't mind Herbert either. He looked really good in the Senior Bowl, but that was to be expected. Now, yes, Tua, injury history is scary, and this all kind of depends on the hip. We'll know more about the hip in the next month, I believe. So, but you just can't deny this guy's talent. And I mean, think about it. Frank Gore, he came in the league in 2005 with big red flags. It hurt his stock. And look at the type of longevity he's had in his career. Matter of fact, the Dolphins, they missed out on a Hall of Fame quarterback back in 2006 because of injury concerns. That same quarterback is who Tua is being comped to, so let's say you pull the trigger. Not saying I'm comping Tua to Drew Brees, just saying people are. Now, I got Justin Herbert here going to the Chargers. Rivers, he's already out of town. He's moved to Florida. I hope he's not going to the Dolphins. I believe in Fitzmagic. Now, assuming they don't make a play in free agency, I think they'll probably go quarterback. Look, I have no idea how Easton Stick has developed, and we really haven't seen him since preseason. And I mean, he was a late round pick. I mean, you got Tyrod Taylor there, but Herbert, he was good. He was good at the Senior Bowl. He's got all the arm talent in the world. He's going to be a top 10 pick. I think it's a good pick here for the Chargers. And then Simmons, you fall no longer. You go into the Panthers. I mean, I can't think of a better replacement for Luke Kuechly. Simmons, he didn't play linebacker at Clemson much at all, but a majority of his snaps were up against the line of scrimmage or in the box. He's just a really good prospect. He's got great coverage skills. Andrew Thomas going to the Cardinals here. It was hard to pass on reuniting Kyler Murray and CeeDee Lamb, but getting Murray protection should be the biggest priority in a wide receiver heavy draft. Just saying. At 9, I got CeeDee Lamb going to the Jaguars. The Jags, they need playmakers to pair up, or they need a playmaker to pair up with Chark and Westbrook. Jags, they don't have a receiver that can create yards off of screens. Lamb, he's big body. He gives you a little bit of everything. And if you're worried about their run defense, don't worry. Jaguar fans, you can get good run defenders late in the draft. Just take the best player available, which happens to be CeeDee Lamb. I know a lot of people out there, they prefer Jerry Jeudy. It's really whatever they're looking for. I have no problem with that either way. They're kind of 1A, 1B to me. They're both great players. Josh Jones going to the Cleveland Browns. This was a tough call. I was considering Grant Delpit, but they really need to upgrade the tackle spot, especially if they don't re-sign the Hall of Famer Greg Robinson. The Senior Bowl, it just proved everything I've been saying about Josh Jones, and probably actually more. He was a lot cleaner from a technique perspective than I thought he would be, because we saw it last year, and this is more reflective on how he's coached at Houston with Ed Oliver. He came in, not the best technique in the world. I figured Josh Jones would be the same way, but he wasn't. He's just phenomenal. I just love him. And then I got the Jets with Wirfs on the board. I'm still going Jerry Jeudy. This was a tough call, but I know not going offensive line, it's kind of tough here, because especially given Joe Douglas's draft history, but I think this isn't a bad place to trade down. But I'm not trading in this draft, because if you trade in a 3-round mock draft, things get crazy, they get wild, they get tough. But I mean, Darnold, he needs a receiver. He needs a top receiver. He doesn't have any on the roster. Robbie Anderson, if you want to consider him a top receiver, he's a free agent. He's not coming back. So they get Jerry Jeudy. Raiders. With the Raiders, I was kind of hoping Lamb or Jeudy wouldn't be off the board. I was kind of hoping they would fall, but with them gone, I just went with the best player available. That's Derek Brown out of Auburn. Listen, he slips no more. He's a monster. He ragdolls blockers. He's just has ridiculous strength. If you line this monster up next to Hurst, that'll make life easier for Clelin Ferrell and Max Crosby. On to 13, and I'm not passing on Javon Kinlaw. That's a hard no. And I mean, I actually, spoiler alert, in my defensive interior rankings, I have Kinlaw ranked above Brown because I think he has the much higher ceiling. This guy, he can be a real difference maker for the Colts, for that defensive line. Yes, wide receiver would be nice here, but like I said, it's a very deep wide receiver draft. And then don't get me started on Jordan Love. It's not a first round pick. And then 14, I went AJ Epinesa for the Buccaneers. Delpit was also another consideration here. So was Wirfs. But in the end of the day, I mean, they could add those in free agency. Epinesa, he would bring versatility to be able to play inside and outside. The dude 6'5", 280. His physical tools, they're rare. He's an athlete. With that size, with that type of athleticism, it's scary. Sue's a free agent. He's not coming back. They haven't. We don't know what they're gonna do with Shaq Barrett. So Epinesa, I don't mind the pick here. At 15, I got Henry Ruggs going to the Broncos. Tristan Wirfs, he was compelling option here, but Ruggs is the perfect yin to Sutton's yang. Get it? Yin and yang. Yin yang. Yin yang twins. No? All right. So at 16, I got the Falcons. They're going Clavon Chason. Pass rusher, it's a major hole for the Falcons. Huge. They only had 28 sacks last year. That was tied second least in the NFL. They won't be bringing back Vic Beasley, so they grab someone that can explode off the edge in Chason. I know he's a little raw, but the dude is a phenomenal athlete. And then at 17, I got the Cowboys. Again, Grant Delpit. Now, follow me here. The Cowboys, they were willing to give up a first-round pick to get Jamal Anderson. So instead, they're going to use that pick basically to grab the safety from his alma mater. I mean, I can't imagine Delpit, someone with Delpit's like coverage skills, dropping out of the top 20. I don't think he will. I think the Cowboys snag him here. And then at 18, I got Mekhi Becton. Out of Louisville. I know this is wild. Tristan Wirfs, he continues to fall. I mean, even with him on the board, I think Mekhi is just more of a Brian Flores type of guy. He's more of a Brian Flores tackle. I mean, the dude, he's got intimidating size. He's scary from the point of attack. A little raw. Didn't play a whole lot of pass sets, or at least true pass sets at Louisville, but huge upside. And then Christian Fulton going to the Raiders here. I was kind of hoping Ruggs would fall, but since he didn't, again, just going with the best player available. Pairing Christian Fulton with Mullins, it gives the Raiders a scary defense going forward. Now, sure, you could say linebacker, but they could address that in free agency. Or in the third round. Honestly, it's for me, in my opinion, it's too high to draft Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen at this pick. And then the Jags at 20, they go Tristan Wirfs. He ain't slipping anymore. Now, hear me out. I really wanted to upgrade the defense, but with Wirfs falling down this mock, the Jags, they can improve their line, because their line was an issue last year. Cam Robinson struggled, and so did their guards. So Wirfs, they could kick him inside while they decide what they're going to do next with Robinson. I just like it. Just think about it. You're Jaguar fans. You're coming out of the first round with 2 top 10 picks in CeeDee Lamb and Tristan Wirfs. That ain't bad. And then at 21, receivers start flying off the board here. I got Jalen Reagor. Now, Reagor, I feel he's underappreciated. If he were playing for Alabama, he would be putting up video game numbers if only he was privileged with a competent quarterback. I mean, he was regularly overthrown. I know people will be like, well, he had some drops. Yes, he had some drops. Well, he's not good at making contested catches. Yes, he's not good at making contested catches. No one separates like Reagor in this draft. He can be a stud, and he makes for and honestly, he's probably the only other player, or he's the only guy that might be faster than Henry Ruggs in this draft. So I think he makes for a good eventual replacement for Deshaun Jackson. And then Buffalo Bills, they're going T. Higgins. Yeah, I think this is good value for Higgins. I think Higgins could be a top 15, top 20 pick. So this gives just the Bills a good size at receiver, a true possession receiver on the outside to match up with John Brown and Cole Beasley. There we go. Next, we got the Patriots. I got him getting Laviska Shenault Jr. out of Colorado. Honestly, if I were the Patriots, I would probably try to trade down, get more picks, because they don't have one till the third round. But since I have to make the pick, I'm going with getting the Patriots more firepower at receiver because it's really needed. They don't have that. Outside of Julian Edelman, Brady had no one to rely on. I know they drafted Harry last year. They traded for Sanu, but obviously they need more help. More help is needed, and it's too early really to target any of the tight ends in this draft. That's why I suggest them trading back. Chenault, he's a playmaker with the ball in his hands. I believe he has the most broken tackles for a receiver over the past 2 seasons. The guy is just really good with the ball in his hands. He can play outside, he can play inside. And then this is an interesting one too. I got Jordan Love going to the Saints. And I know, Saints, you look into the future here. I would have loved Justin Jefferson at this pick, but I don't know, something intrigues me about Jordan Love, especially going to a team with an already established quarterback. It's kind of on his way out. Because let's be honest, Bridgewater, he's probably won't be back. I don't think Taysom Hill is going to be the heir apparent. Just imagine a year or two what Love could become under the tutelage of Breeze and Sean Payton. I'm just saying, especially with all his physical gifts. And then at 25, I got Trayvon Diggs going to Minnesota. They need a corner, and maybe Trayvon could keep his brother Stephon happy there in Minnesota. But really, Mike Zimmer, he loves big, rangy, or big, lengthy, I guess, corners. That's exactly what you're going to be getting with Trayvon Diggs. And then there's another interesting one. The Dolphins going to Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. Now, I think Rashad Jones, he'll probably end up being a cap casualty at the end of the year. Listen, McKinney, he was solid. He was a good all-around safety. He probably has he doesn't have necessarily the highest ceiling, but he definitely has the highest floor. He's like I said, a safe prospect, and he would definitely help a very depleted secondary, a depleted team in general. And then I got Seahawks. They're going Jalen Johnson out of Utah. I would have loved to get Russell Wilson some protection here, but nobody really fits at this point. They could go pass rusher, but listen, Trey Flowers, he was bad, like exceptionally bad versus the Packers. I mean, Devontae Adams just murdered him, and I'm just gonna say that. But Jalen Johnson, he's perfect for Seattle's cover 3, and I think especially after the draft, he's going to be a guy that moves up draft boards. And then Zack Bond going to Baltimore Ravens here. Judon doesn't look like he's coming back. And sounds like he's going to get a lot of money too, which is kind of wild. But the Ravens, they blitz more than any other team in the league last season. And while Bond isn't the sideline-to-sideline athlete that a Kenneth Murray or a Patrick Queen is, he certainly is the better blitzer. He's a better pure pass rusher, and he really offers that. I like the pick there. And then we got the Titans. They're going Yetur Gross-Matos. Korea, he's a free agent after making basically a late season case for a long-term contract. I don't think the Titans will pay it. So they go ahead and they get Yetur Gross-Matos. Listen, Cameron Wake, he's just a placeholder for the next guy. Gross-Matos is he's a work in progress, and he took a huge step forward. Don't get me wrong, he took a huge step forward last season. He possesses very good athleticism. He filled out a lot of his frame. He had 3 or more pressures in every game last season, so he's definitely ascending. He's more of a second round type of guy, but I don't mind taking a shot at him if you really want a pass rusher. And then here, Kenneth Murray. I've been fighting here for so long, going to the Packers. Honestly, I'd love to go receiver for the Packers because I think their offense is it's just not explosive, especially without Devontae Adams. It wasn't, and you know what? It's a wide receiver deep draft, or it's a very deep wide receiver class. There we go. There's the words. But Blake Martinez, he's a free agent. If you look at the linebacking core for the Packers, it's a barren wasteland. They need somebody. So I have compared Kenneth Murray to Blake Martinez from a playmaker perspective, I don't think Murray is a good playmaker. He has like only 4 pass breakups in the last 2 seasons. But he is a sideline to sideline athlete. That's something Martinez wasn't. That's why the run game struggled so much. And Murray, he's a sure tackler as well. So I've come around to this being a good option for the Packers. And then, especially with how often they use sub packages, they need a guy that can move. And then we got the 49ers. They're going Austin Jackson out of USC. Hear me now, Staley. He's getting up there in years, and the Niners, they love to run the football. Jackson, he has athleticism, especially the type of athleticism Shanahan likes for his offensive linemen. I mean, honestly, Austin Jackson, he could kick inside at the beginning of his career while he waits for Joe to ride off into the sunset. It's a beautiful thing. And then you could start him on the right, or you could start him on the left, depending on wherever Mike wants to be. And then CJ Henderson, I don't know how you fell here, but I got the Chiefs going CJ Henderson out of Florida. You'll see people put running back here, which I don't think that's a good pick. The Chiefs offense doesn't need a running back. It can run without a running back. It could run without a highly sought running back. Look, Damian Williams, Derwin Thompson, late round pick, LaShawn McCoy, a veteran castaway. Shoot, I mean, Spencer Ware. I mean, it doesn't need that. However, what they do need is corners, man. They got a lot of corners that are becoming free agents at the end of this season. They could lose Breland, you lose Fuller, Claiborne, all to free agency. And listen, Hernandez, he's one of the best press man corners in this draft. He did have a down year last year, but he's a competitor. Best believe when a receiver won, he deserved it. Like I said, Henderson's a competitor. He's gonna have a bonkers combine. You just wait, you just see. On to the second round. We're gonna start with the Bengals, and we're going with Patrick Queen out of LSU. Another LSU guy right here. We got if you look at the linebacking core there at Cincinnati, Jermaine Pratt, he was okay in his rookie year, and then Jordan Evans, he was pretty good in sub packages, but Nick Vigil, he should be upgraded. Queen, he was an absolute playmaker there at LSU throughout the season. I mean, there was a few on and off games there, but I like the pick here. You can you got a good run stopper there in Pratt, and then you got your coverage linebackers in Evans and Queen. And the next got Denzel Mims, man, after a hot Senior Bowl, going to the Colts. They tried to get a big play physical receiver when they signed Devin Funchess, but he got hurt. Mims, like I said, blew up the Senior Bowl. He has way more speed than Funchess, and he was second in contested catches last season for college football. If you want to see, honestly, how physical this guy can be, just turn on that bowl game against Georgia, because we all know Georgia corners are very physical, overtly physical, borderline yellow flag physical. Just saying. And then I love this pick. I got Curtis Weaver going to Detroit. I love Curtis Weaver. It's just, it doesn't look like NFL teams, or at least scouts, analysts, are as high on Curtis Weaver as I feel like they should be. And I get it, he, from a physical standpoint, he's kind of a big boy. Doesn't really look the part, but I mean, just the production has been there for Curtis Weaver. He's just been dominating the Mountain West for the last 2 years. He's versatile enough to play inside and outside. He's a top 20 pick. I think he deserves to be a top 20 pick. But yeah, man, I think he would be a welcome addition to Patricia's offense. And then we're going to the Giants with 36. They're going Julian Okwara, another guy that that's not high on a lot of people's boards. I don't know if it's because of his inconsistent play or if it's the injury, but athletically, this guy's a monster. He's going to put on a show at the Combine. He should be good to go from the fibia injury for the Combine at 6'4", 248. He is incredibly powerful. He was powerful enough to push back Andrew Thomas on a few snaps in that Georgia game. And look at it, talking about Georgia again. Huh. But yes, for the most part, last season was fairly inconsistent. He's been inconsistent his whole collegiate career, but I can imagine Joe Judge just drooling at the potential. Like I said, for a guy his size to be able to bull rush the way he bull rushes, it can be special. And then we got the Chargers. They're going to Jonah Jackson, offensive interior out of Ohio State. The Chargers, they grabbed basically what they thought they had in 2017 when they got Forrest Lamp and Dan Feeney. Jackson, he's the best interior pass blocker in this draft. I mean, he reminded a lot of people of that at the Senior Bowl. He's been basically good throughout his whole college career, going back to Rutgers. There we go. But yeah, man, this guy, he really elevated himself up a lot of people's boards. And then Marlon Davidson going to the Panthers. I'm telling you, new defensive coordinator there, Phil Snow. He was in Mobile, and he was there for the Senior Bowl. And best believe he got a good look at Marlon Davidson and them short shorts. The guy looked like a specimen. He looked like a freak. I mean, I know Panther fans are worried about their run defense. Well, bam, you just got a guy who has not only can be a very solid run defender, but he brings an interesting skill set on the interior defensive line. And then DeAndre Swift, man, talking about Georgia all over again. I got him going to my Dolphins. He isn't my top-ranked running back, but I could definitely see if Bill Belichick liked Sony Michel, then I believe the apprentice, the disciple, Brian Flores, might fancy himself over a similar Georgia running back being DeAndre Swift. We already know DeAndre Swift is probably one of the most well-rounded running backs in this draft, and that's something the Dolphins didn't really have last year. And then Justin Jefferson going to the Cardinals. I know, the Cardinals, they got a ton of receivers, but tell me you don't like this pairing. Word on the street, though, Arizona, they're going to address defense heavily in free agency. And by what I mean by word on the street is from articles that I've read recently. But honestly, if that's true, they can pursue the best player available. That's Justin Jefferson. Just think about it. He could eventually replace Fitzgerald, but we know they opened up the offense a lot later in the year. They were running those four wides. Can you imagine Christian Kirk on the outside? On the other outside, you got Andy Isabella, a disgusting deep threat, and then you get Justin Jefferson, you get Larry Fitzgerald. That's a scary wide receiving core. I'm just saying. And then on to the next. Ashtyn Davis going to the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people might not like this one, but he's good. Get over it. Now, I didn't snag Del Pitt in the first round because, let's be honest, the offense tackle is a much more pressing need. But they get another rangy safety here. We all know Davis used to be a former track star. He could play in single high, much like Demarius Randall did for Cleveland, who now is a free agent. He also could play in the slot, which TJ Carey, he was a liability in 2019. So he could do both those things, and I think he'd be an improvement in both those areas. Cameron Dantzler going to the Jaguars. They finally get their Jalen Ramsey replacement. Dantzler has been shut down in the SEC for 3 years straight now. He only allowed 171 yards in conference play in 2019. He can play zone, he can play man. Honestly, just needs to add a little bit more muscle, and then we could be talking about another shutdown corner here. And then Bears, this is your first pick. It's not the sexiest pick, but I think it is a good pick nonetheless. I got him going to Harrison Bryant. No Bear tight end had over 100 yards. Not in a game, over the course of a season. Really? Honestly, whether they decide to stick with Mitch or they bring in someone else, they need a playmaker at tight end. Bryant has done that over the last 3 seasons. Just his totals, like over the last 3 seasons, he's had over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. He's a playmaker at the tight end position. So obviously the Colts see this, they freak out, and they draft Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue. Now, he's actually my 5th ranked tight end. But the Colts, they're losing Eric Ebron, who was good at stretching the field vertically. He was also a big target in the red zone. Hopkins won't be that. But Hopkins, he can stretch the field vertically. He is probably one of the best receiving tight ends in this draft. And plus, you got Mims, who is a great red zone threat already. Now, I do want to address quarterback eventually, but I wouldn't touch Jordan Love until, like, if I were the Colts, till the second round, till that second pick. I mean, I won't even want to trade up for him, but because I think honestly he's a second rounder. He's not worth a first rounder, in my opinion. So at this point, it's like, okay, you could maybe consider Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason, but those guys, they really don't excite me, at least at this point in the draft. We're here with our second round pick, and I feel like with Fromm and Eason, we're getting a little bit of the same that we already currently have in Jacoby. So I went with the playmaking position. And then for the Bucks, we got Netane Moody, man, out of Fresno State. Now, Bucks fans, I feel you. Just hear me on this. You're probably going to have to deal with Jameis Winston for another year at least. So let's give him the best chance to succeed. Moody, who has been nothing but dominant at Fresno State, granted when healthy, would help him do that. This guy honestly could have been a first rounder if it wasn't for 2 consecutive season-ending injuries. But the injuries, they didn't correlate. They were unrelated to one another. I'm hoping they were just flukes, because this guy, he gives you his snaps. He gives you kind of like that. I don't want to say Quentin Nelson. I think that's going too far. But his dominance is definitely on close to that. But man, he'd be a heck of a steal, especially if you could get him healthy. With the Broncos pick, we're going Jordan Elliott out of Missouri. Honestly, Elliott, he should be a first round pick, but doesn't seem that NFL scouts or analysts seem to be high on him. I think that might change after the combine. I honestly think he's up there with Javon Kinlaw and Derek Brown. He isn't scheme dependent. He can fit in any defense. So for the Broncos, who are losing some quality pieces there to free agency on their defensive line, I think he'd be a steal here in the second round. And then the Falcons, they address corner. They double dip in on defense. They go Jeff Gladney out of TCU. The guy's a burner. They could use more quality players there at corner. Yes, you got Sheffield. Yes, you got Oliver. Those guys are okay. I still would try to get better competition in there. And then the Jets, they're going Joshua Uche, who's one of my favorite guys in this draft. May I remind you, the Jets, they tried, they pursued, they almost signed Anthony Barr last free agency. You get a player, you get a similar style of player here in Uche. I mean, if you go to the Senior Bowl, it was wild because he looked way more confident, way more comfortable, just overall better in coverage than Zack Bond, who actually converted to linebacker. Who's actually converted to off-ball linebacker. So I think you could do a lot of fun things with Uche, and he... Good luck, Greg Williams. On to the... Hey, Steelers, their first pick. I'm going Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. Now, hear me out here. Steelers, I believe they're in a win-now mode. So they need to get someone who can start immediately. I don't believe Bud Dupree will be back. He'll just be far too expensive. And that offense will look much better with Big Ben back. James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, even Vance McDonald. They'll all look better just because Ben Roethlisberger is back. So they go ahead, they get Terrell Lewis, who I'd love to see him in a 3-4 scheme. And then another sexy pick for the Bears. They went tight end. Now you're going offensive interior, Calvin Throckmorton. Now, hear me out, Bears fans. This is really just to improve your team, man. I could draft a quarterback. I didn't think so, though. I think you need to improve this offense. The defense was decent last year. It wasn't bad. It was the offense that was failing. So let's make the offense better. They have playmakers. So let's improve that offensive line. Throckmorton, you could start him at right guard, and you could even put him in, because he has the versatility to play almost anywhere on the line. You could put him in at right tackle if they don't bring Lucas back, or if Massey doesn't play well. And then F51, I got the Dallas Cowboys getting Bradlee Anae out of Arizona State. This one might look a little weird, but it really depends what they do with Amari Cooper. Because it's a no-brainer to kind of bring him back and re-sign him, but there's a chance they might not. And I think regardless, Ayuk could go in the first round, so this is great value here. So just getting him, can you imagine Gallup, Ayuk, and Cooper? Terrifying. And then I got the Rams with their first pick. They're getting my boy Caesar out of Michigan. Again, not a sexy pick, but the pick that needs to be made. The offensive line was the weakest part of the team last year, especially the interior. They have some young players there on the inside, but it's still a weakness, and they need to address it. And Caesar, he's exceptionally agile for his size at 6'4", 320. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, with the 53rd pick, they go Bryce Hall out of Virginia. This one's a steal. It's no secret they need help in the secondary. Hall is a perfect fit to Jim Schwartz's defensive scheme. And then the Buffalo Bills, they go Bradlee Anae out of Utah. Now, he won't blow up the combine athletically. We saw that Senior Bowl. We know he's got athletic limitations, but he's one of the best technicians. He's got very strong hands. He's got a real high motor. He just screams build defensive line to me. Atlanta Falcons, they're going J.K. Dobbins, running back out of Ohio State. Yes, finally a running back. Another running back goes. I know, I believe they're going to fall. So, just saying. Freeman, he was very inconsistent. He was hurt. So, here you're at the tail end of the second round. This is your second round pick. You have a chance to grab real depth, to grab someone who could probably start over Freeman, and you can free yourself of that contract. Because who outside of Freeman, who was your best running back? Brian Hill? Yeah, that entices me too. But yeah, Dobbins, I think he would be nice in the zone blocking scheme. He's a cut and go type of runner. He's a big play threat waiting to happen. And then the Dolphins, another guy I'm surprised is falling down boards. Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. Now, from what I've seen, it doesn't look like the NFL is that high on Biadasz, which kind of blows my mind. But still, I think there's no way he falls out of the second round. The Dolphins just kind of reap the benefits here, and they continue to build that offensive line. And with the 57th pick, the Texans' first pick, they go Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma. Another guy, like, this just screams how talented this draft is when you can get a guy like Gallimore here at the 57th pick. Now, they're going to lose DJ Reader to free agency, so they replace him with Gallimore, who can also play the zero tech, and he's just going to test out like a freak at the combine. Vikings fans, you're getting Jake Fromm, and I know you're ecstatic. I know you are ecstatic, but hear me out here. Fact of the matter, Kirk Cousins, he's going to be a free agent after next season. Fromm, he's NFL ready. He's a good decision maker. He protects the football well. He's the perfect quarterback to keep this franchise competitive in life after Cousins. I'll just leave you with that. And then Seattle Seahawks, you're going Ross Blacklock, defensive interior out of TCU. So Jaron Reed, Quentin Jefferson, they're all free agents. Blacklock, he could go much higher than this. A lot of scouts, I think, probably have him higher than this. But I like how he plays up and down the line of scrimmage. And you know what? I bet you Pete Carroll will like it too. And at pick 60, Baltimore Ravens go Damian Lewis, offensive interior out of LSU. This guy, he is exactly the type of offensive lineman the Ravens, I think, seek. I said this, if you go check out my Senior Bowl video, I literally said that I think I'll probably have to mock this guy to the Ravens in the second round. He's strong. He won't be bullied by no one. He just looks like a Ravens pick. And then Tennessee Titans back on the clock. They go AJ Terrell out of Clemson. Cornerback Logan Ryan, he's a free agent. Malcolm Butler, he could be a cap casualty. Terrell, he was right on Jamar Chase during the national championship. Right on him, like white on rice. Like Wonder on bread. I don't know if that second one is anything, but he just wasn't coming down with the ball. It's not like he was having it's not like he was struggling to find the catch point either. Like he had his hand, bam, right there. Jamar Chase was just coming down with him. He's that much of a beast. So I don't mind Terrell here. I think he provides good depth, especially when they might have some veteran guys leaving. And then, man, we got Juwan Jennings, one of my a guy I really like coming out of Tennessee. I mean, honestly, this guy, he's probably gonna be, if the Packers get him, because I wanted them to get a receiver in the first round, didn't really turn out that way, but they get a guy that's probably one of the most exciting receivers they've had since Randall Cobb. Honestly, this guy, he had the most broken tackles of any receiver last season. He's able to play in the slot. He's just, you know what, he's just a playmaker that they desperately need. And then his teammate goes with the next pick, Darrell Taylor, edge out of Tennessee, going to the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they just continue to build that defense. This time they get a competent pass rusher across from Frank Clark. And then with the last pick in the second round, we got the Seattle Seahawks taking Lucas Naeem out of TCU, offensive tackle. Russell Wilson, we all know he could use some protection. Naeem, he has a very intriguing skill set. He has a super strong upper body, something that Seattle likes to have in their offensive line. Let's start the third round like we always do with every round with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU. I didn't realize it really until now that they literally drafted only LSU players. I don't know how it happened like that. It just did. I picked this guy. I picked Cushenberry because he looked good in Senior Bowl. We know he's got a lot of power. Trey Hopkins is a free agent, and I thought it'd probably be wise to get Joe Burrow center, his former teammate. But yeah, man, they got all LSU players. Probably not gonna happen. Definitely not gonna happen. But it's just kind of weird that it happened that way. And then I got the Redskins at 66, getting the Auburn corner, Noah Igbinoghene. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I have it broken down right in front of me. This guy, I know what Redskins fans are probably going to be saying. Offensive line, what the heck, man? Listen, that's a possibility. So is receiver, but you could address those positions in free agency. You can do that. You can address it later in the draft. But this guy, Noah here, he's a bit raw, but he's got a very high ceiling. I think he could have been a first-round pick if he decided to come out next season. You got guys like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper already throwing a first-round label on this guy. So at the start of the third round, he's kind of a steal. Shut your mouth. No, not really. I'm just playing. And then Detroit, they're going Troy Dye. They have addressed every level of the defense in this draft. Get in Weaver. Get in Okudah. There we go. Wow, man, why do I suck at saying his last name so bad? My apologies. But Troy Dye, he is a phenomenal coverage linebacker, something the Lions couldn't get from their linebacking core last season. And then Trey Adams, man, coming in here for the Jets. This is a good pick. Adams, he was once thought to be a first rounder, but medical red flags, serious ones. We're talking the knee, we're talking the back. But he has on tape this season poor play against better competition. I always point to his game against Bradlee Anae from Utah. It really killed his stock. Now, does that mean the potential isn't there? No, it just means he is a bargain at this pick. That's all I'm saying. All right, next we got the Carolina Panthers. They're going with the tight end, Adam Trautman, out of Dayton. He's my second ranked tight end on this list. Greg Olsen, he's out in Carolina. So they grab like I said, my second ranked tight end, Trautman. He impressed at the Senior Bowl. I think he'd be a good job. I think he'd be good under Joe Brady's offense. And the Dolphins, they get a steal. Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota. Like, you're going to see guys slide in the draft, and it's just going to be crazy the value people are going to, like, teams are going to get for him. Like, can you imagine Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, and Tyler Johnson? Tyler Johnson, he can play outside. He can play in the slot. It's a solid, you build a tough trio to stop there. And then I got the Chargers getting the offensive tackle out of LSU. I mean, Charles here, he's very Russell Okung-esque at tackle, and the Chargers, they need guys that can block. Let's be honest. So I have them double dipping on the offensive line in the second and third round. And then the Cardinals, they go corner. They're going Darnay Holmes, because I think this is a really good pick. Holmes is a good fit for a press man heavy scheme, and they kind of alluded to that last year. He could also play in the slot, so it just gives them some help in coverage, because let's be honest, they kind of need it. Just noticing something. Oh no, never mind. At 73, we got the Jaguars taking Akeem Davis Gaither, linebacker out of Appalachian State, with Telvin Smith's return in limbo. They get probably the most athletic linebacker in this draft. I mean, on top of his coverage skills, he brings good pass rush as well. He's just a weapon you could just unleash there on your defense. And then Michael Pittman Jr. going to the Cleveland Browns, and I'm surprised this guy falls, because he's way higher on my list too. Like I said, the draft, it just happens that way. It's weird. But Cleveland, they get a big-bodied receiver that they can put on the other side of OBJ, so I like that. Colts, you get Jacob Eason. Look, you didn't even have to reach for him. Third round. You didn't even have to reach for him. I'm surprised he's down this far, honestly. I'm sure some team will try to trade up to snag him, but if he falls here, then there's very little risk for the Colts. And then the Buccaneers, they're going and getting Antoine Winfield Jr. Wow, so we can all say, man, the Bucs, they've done a wonderful job with their corners. Their corners really, their play went way up, while the safeties, they were as bad as usual. Winfield, he has great athleticism, and he's a legit playmaker. So I love seeing that in the defense. At pick 77, we got the Broncos back on the clock. They're getting Troy Pride Jr., the cornerback out of Notre Dame. They need help, especially if or when Chris Harris leaves for free agency. Like I said, or when, seems very likely. Pride, he's coming off a great Senior Bowl. At pick 78, the Atlanta Falcons take Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame, the tight end, which is another guy I'm surprised falls this far. But, I mean, tight end, I don't think it's going to be that sought out in this draft. I think there's 5 guys that'll probably go on day 3. Well, I mean, honestly, I could see one of them maybe slip into day 2. I could see one of them maybe slip into day 3. But I don't know if the Falcons will be able to pay Austin Hooper, so they snag Cole here. Who some people actually deem him the top tight end in this draft, because he's probably the most well-rounded of the bunch. And then the Jets, man, they're going offensive line again. They're getting Robert Hunt out of Louisiana. I mean, they just need to get more protection for Darnold. Hunt, he wasn't able to play in the Senior Bowl, but if he gets an invite to the Combine, I'm sure he'll blow it up. I'm sure his stock will go up as well. And then the Raiders, they get a receiver. They get KJ Hill out of Ohio State. Again, another guy who impressed extremely well at the Senior Bowl. Looks like he'll be able to play on the outside. I thought he was a slot-only guy, but doesn't look like that. And the Raiders, they just need to get more playmakers. Raiders back on the clock, and they get their linebacker, Willie Gay Jr. out of Mississippi State. Now, I said this with Akeem Davis Gaithers, that he's the most athletic. I should have said he's probably the most versatile linebacker. Willie Gay here, man, he's up there when it comes to athleticism. This guy's gonna run really, really fast. They need, and you know what? The Raiders, they need a linebacker that can cover badly. So, okay, he should have a phenomenal combine. And then Hunter Bryant coming off the board here for Dallas. Even if Whitten is back, it's not like he's going to be going any further than 10 yards downfield. So they need a real difference maker from a receiving aspect at tight end. Hunter Bryant is that guy. Broncos, KJ Hamler. Here, you might be like, well, they already got Henry Ruggs and Cortland Sutton. Well, Hamler, he's a great slot guy. Drops were a bit of a concern, but like I said, he's a phenomenal talent. But I mean, just look at all the playmakers Drew Lock now has. You've built quite an impressive team around there. The Rams, they're going back with offensive line. Jack Driscoll out of Auburn. I'm really high on this guy. He was supposed to be in the Senior Bowl. They ended up not. I don't know how that works. I guess they invited him, then they didn't. He had to play in the East-West Shrine game. He was all right. Whitworth is probably on his way out. So I like Driscoll. He's a good fit for the Rams zone blocking scheme. At 85, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're going Kyle Duggar out of, Lenoir Rhine? Yeah, small school, man. But this guy was a monster at the Senior Bowl. Really helped his stock. Malcolm Jenkins, he wants more money. He wants to restructure his deal, his contract. So, I mean, Philly's secondary is already bad. So, Duggar, it's kind of an ideal replacement if they can't come to agreement. So, I don't mind grabbing him here. Matt Pert going to the Buffalo Bills at 86. Yeah, I'm not positive if Cody Ford is going to stay at tackle. I always said he projects better at guard, so maybe they'll move him at guard. So Pert, he played the last 2 seasons on the right side, and he greatly improved compared to his first 2 seasons at Connecticut, where he played left tackle. Just saying, you got a right tackle right there. New England Patriots, they're going Khalid Kareem, edge out of Notre Dame. I like this pick mainly because Khalid Kareem, my comp for him is Trey Flowers, and I don't think the Patriots would mind grabbing another Trey Flowers. And then at 88, I got the Saints grabbing Donovan Peoples-Jones. Mr. Donovan, my name is too long to fit on the overlay. But this guy scouts are way higher on than I am. Just going to put that out there. I really liked Justin Jefferson to be the pick, I like him as a pick for the Saints in the first round, but that didn't happen. So we're here in the third with another big guy who can play in the slot, and I think DPJ is more of an early day 3 guy. But like I said, many scouts are a little higher on him than I am. And with pick 89, I got the Vikings taking Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M, defensive interior. Joseph, he's getting older, but I mean, he looks pretty good in limited time last year. I mean, honestly, bringing in a quality 3 tech isn't a bad idea. Matabuke, he's been pretty consistent over the last 2 seasons. And then at 90, man, we're already at 90. Cleveland, they're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man. Running back out of LSU. I like this pick a lot because if you think about Kareem Hunt, okay, he may be facing more discipline. Edwards-Helaire, he is a very similar prospect, and he's a good complement to Chubb. I mean, he's got a ton of pass catching ability, and he's small, compact. He's tough to tackle. I like this pick a lot. It gives the Browns even more playmakers. And then the Raiders, they're going Logan Steinberg out of Kentucky. Follow me on this one. Listen, the interior of the offensive line, it's getting older. It's very expensive. So developing an eventual replacement for one of those guys isn't a bad idea. I mean, Logan, he's a Raider type of player. He's got a mean streak. And then Van Jefferson going to Baltimore at 92. Drops, they were the story of the divisional round. So getting more reliable receivers in the draft class, not a bad idea. And Jefferson, another guy that really helped his stock there at the Senior Bowl. And then Tennessee Titans, I got him going Zach Moss. This is actually, it'd be a steal if he falls this far. I love Zach Moss. in this running back class. I can see Dion Lewis getting released, but we still don't know how they're gonna retain Derrick Henry. Moss is actually my top ranked running back, spoiler alert, but nobody is talking about him, and I really just don't know why. And then at 90, I got the Packers again. Raekwon Davis out of Alabama. Listen, some team is gonna have to jump on Raekwon Davis's physical tools. Packers did the same thing with Rashawn Gary last draft, so they could do it in this one. Broncos, again, Ezra Cleveland, the tackle out of Boise State. He's been solid for Boise, provided it's the Mountain West, but he provides good insurance if Boyles, keeps committing penalties. And then the Chiefs, they go offensive interior. They're going Michael Onwenu out of Michigan, a guy that I'm a lot higher on than other people. I mean, honestly, improving spots on the offensive line, it's never a bad option, even if it's just getting another guy that could come in and fill in if they need it. And then here we are to the compensatory picks. At pick 97 is the Eagles, and these are projected, so they're not for sure. They're not set in stone. I got the Eagles getting Jonathan Taylor. He fell all the way down here. I know a lot of people won't think Taylor will last this long. I don't think it either, but that's how it fell. The Eagles have no obligation to Jonathan Howard. I'm just saying. So they can pick him up, pair him up with Miles Sanders. At 98, the Patriots, they go Cheyenne O'Grady, tight end out of Arkansas. Now, the Patriots, they took a risk on Antonio Brown. I think they could do the same with O'Grady. He falls kind of into the same boat as far as off-field concerns, character, red flags. And I mean, honestly, he could have been the top tight end in this class, but because of those red flags, he kind of falls. Probably going to fall a little further than this, though. At 99, Terrell Burgess, the safety out of Utah, going to the Baltimore Ravens. Burgess, he's just good value here. Really good value, and he adds depth at safety. And then at pick 100, Anthony Jennings, going to the Patriots. This is a guy a lot of people kind of have a divisive opinion on. Honestly, he kind of reminds me a lot of Dante Hightower, and I don't think the Patriots would mind developing a cheaper option. And then at pick 101, we got the New York Giants. They're going Matt Hennessy, the offensive interior out of Temple, the center. I mean, the Giants, they're continuing to improve the offensive line with Hennessy. Their current tight end, John Alapio, is a free agent. At 101, Texans, they're getting Kevon Wallace, the safety out of Clemson. Hear me out here, because I think he's more so maybe a slot only. But the Texans, their secondary really missed the Honey Badger. And while Wallace here isn't Matthew, he's still very versatile in whom he can cover. I think he may be slot only, but you're losing Bradlee Roby anyway, so. And then the Seahawks, they're going Trevis Gibson out of Tulsa, man. Gibson, he had another guy with a pretty good Senior Bowl. The Seahawks, they need pass rush. Gibson has some good size, some good length. And then I guess it's the final pick of the compensatory picks. At 104, finally, we're here. I got the Steelers. They're getting the center out of San Diego State, Keith Ishmael. Pouncey, he had a bad year, so it might be time to start developing his replacement. Ishmael, he's as I've seen other drafts have him as early as a second rounder. So, I mean, this is pretty good value then for that. And he's very physical. He's very imposing for just a 300-pounder. But that's it for the video. We got through it. I'm starting to lose my voice, so took quite a bit. Sorry it's out so late, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.